At the halfway point of the 2014 championship, KTM's Ken Roczen and Yamaha's Jeremy Martin lead the way. Roczen has set the pace in the 450 class, with 6 moto wins in his rookie season in the Premier class.
Checkered flag is out. Ken Roczen sweeps Hangtown. Ken Roczen wins round 3 here at Thunder Valley. It's Ken Roczen who wins at Muddy Creek. He dominates Redbud, going 1-1.
In the 250s, Minnesota native Martin won the first 5 motos of the season before showing any weakness.
Jeremy Martin, 3 for 3.
Jeremy
Martin's gonna come out on top. He wins Redbud.
The Yamaha rider responded to a mini slump with a dominating performance last week at Redbud to further strengthen his points lead. 6 races down, 6 to go. The push to the championship begins right now.
We're about an hour south of Washington, D.C., in Budds Creek, Maryland, for this, the GEICO Motorcycle Budds Creek National. It's round 7 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing. Yamahas were dominating off the start, but then Trey Kennard looking to make moves on Justin Brayton for the lead. Makes it happen, puts the Honda up front, but watch for Ken Roczen. He gets around Ryan Dungey, gets around Brayton, and now going for the lead on Kennard.
Roczen just charges that hill so much harder than anyone. That's why I'm saying hard braking area. He makes the most of it.
Takes the moto win. Now it was close. His teammate Dungey got up to within 1 second there on the final lap. Last few laps, Dungey was closing in. They were in lap traffic. Roczen did what he needed to do to win that one. We'll show you the results. As mentioned, a good battle also for third between Kennard, Tomac, and Stewart. Weston Pike needed a bounce back after a really rough weekend at Redbud. He told me all I need is a start. He got one. He delivered a great finish in 6th. Metcalf wins that battle with Short. Grant, 9th. Freddie Noren making it happen again in the factory Honda, top 10. He started with a good start. Ryan Dungey at the number 5, making it happen.
Start out front and finish that way. Dungey gets that whole shot, steals it away from Josh Graham.
And he would not be headed from there. Great battles behind him. Ken Roczen here in the 94, going around the outside of Grant to get into 2nd. We thought we were going to have a furious battle between the Red Bull KTM teammates, but no. Dungey was able to put distance on Roczen and the rest of the field. Little doubt this was his best performance of the year. A little bit of light in the championship fight for him. He looked pretty gloomy last week. Good job by Roczen, though. He was dealing with pressure from Eli Tomac down the stretch. Finishes 2nd. There is Dungey. His mechanic, Carlos Rivera, celebrating the win. Tomac, who we mentioned, ends up 3rd. Kennard and Pike in the top 5. Good ride for Weston. Grant 6th. Short, Nicoletti, Brayton, and Gerke round out the top 10. If you look at the overall here, no problem for Roczen because you actually tied Dungey on points for the day. He got that first moto. It counts just as much as far as the championship is concerned. You don't lose any ground on your off day. Probably not too upset about that.
And that's the podium. Eli Tomac back up there. Trey Kennard just couldn't make it. Weston Pike running out the top 5. Great result for him. Look at the points. Pretty tight now.
Yeah, 26 points. It's certainly doable. But the problem is, though, Roczen and Dungey have been so darn consistent that even when one is a bad race, they end up getting 2nd, 3rd, 4th, something like that. Roczen hasn't been out of the top 3 in any moto this year. History made, a first-time winner. Yeah. Starts with Jason Anderson's got to get around Justin Bogle. Anderson and Bogle, neither have ever won one of these races, so you can tell they wanted it bad.
That is the hardest way to make a pass, going the long way around. He went at least 50 feet further than Bogle to get that lead, but you know what? It was totally worth it.
Yeah, and then he started pulling away. You have to watch Jeremy Martin here on the left side in the Yamaha trying to pass Christoph Porcel. He finally makes the move. That puts him into 3rd. With Bogle in the number 2 spot. Not for long. Martin wants it.
Martin doing what he does best. Get out front, trying to win this title. He fights hard, but look here, battle for 3rd. Baggett, oh, and Bogle almost touching midair. Baggett gets around Bogle.
And as Martin and Baggett were up to 2nd and 3rd, they closed the gap on Anderson. Here's the top 3 coming down to the finish line. They're all in the same section, but it's enough for Anderson to take his first moto win of the year. It's only 4 different moto wins this year. Webb, Martin, and Bogle had gotten them all. Webb, by the way, did make that pass on Porcel. One more championship point for him at that 5th place, digging it out.
And I said that was crucial for Cooper Webb.
He got it done. And A-Rod, the 3rd Star Racing Yamaha rider, inside the top 10 as well with a 9.
Gate drops. Baggett wins this moto, but it's not him out front early. It's the Yamaha bike of Jeremy Martin, but a big first turn pileup, taking down Muscan and several other top riders. But Martin getting that all-important motorsport.com hole shot.
And Baggett actually took advantage of that crash, got around those guys. They punched a hole for him, and now from about 5th place moves into 4th. Then he has to go after Jason Anderson for the number 3 position. Anderson had won the first moto earlier today, but he was not quite as strong this time around. Baggett's next move, he's got to work on Christophe Pourcel, but Pourcel made it easy for 2nd.
Pourcel unable to jump that triple step up, leaves the door open for Baggett, who gets in the 2nd. And this is that section we said you can make passes up the inside. Baggett takes that lead over Jeremy Martin. Huge in the point situation.
Absolutely, and from there he would absolutely pull away from everyone. Just questions no one could answer in the second half of the moto for Baggett. 3rd in the first moto, wins Moto 2, and that is enough to give him the overall win. Martin, a solid day, finishes 2nd. Pourcel 3rd, Cooper Red Mountain wanted back in 4th, going to lose a little ground to Baggett and Martin in the standings. Bogle Hill Anderson 7th. Nelson Seeley and A-Rod Anthony Rodriguez rounds out the top 10. That kid's getting pretty consistent quite quickly. We'll show you the overall results when we combine the scores from the first moto earlier today and this one. Blake Baggett with a 3rd of the first. That's the most points in total, edging out Jeremy Martin. That's the difference in motocross. You get a little bonus point for winning a moto, so even though you see 3 and 1 and 2 and 2 both equal 4, you win the moto, you get the overall. Anderson up on the podium again. He's done that a couple times this year. As I suspected, Baggett has now vaulted past Webb for 2nd. Webb an okay day, but certainly not as good as the last 2 weeks for him, where he was winning motos. So now Baggett up to 2nd. I'd say both still in championship contention, though.